Pure silence is a state of no thing, an eternal void of infinite potential. And through the power of focused intention, this vast sea of emptiness is sent into motion. Hindu mythology describes this initial movement as a subtle sound vibration from which all shapes and forms are manifested in the material world. Western monotheism operates on the same principle as told in the first 3 lines of the Old Testament. Cymatics, chemotropic laser scrying, and acoustic weaponry are just a few modern representations of this ancient understanding that sound generates geometric form and profoundly affects the structure of matter. Synchromusicologists are involved in the holistic study of audiomancy, or how sound affects life. This requires an investigation into the structure of holographic sound, the mechanics of Western tonality, and conditioned responses to pop music archetypes. We're interested in the alchemical and astrotheological correspondence to 12-tone equal temperament. We believe it is within the power of every human individual to cultivate psychic vision through the pineal gland or third eye. So, it is also possible that this inner vision could be linked synesthesically to an inner hearing or third ear. The third ear does not have a localized gland and has thus been overlooked by modern science. Yet we know, from experience, that heavenly music of the soul is available to those who have ears to hear it.
The king's chamber inside the pyramid of Khufu resonates at exactly 16 Hz, which is below the frequency of human hearing. When combined with its accompanying pentagrammic chamber rooms, a distinct pattern of frequencies start to arise.
No planets, no meteorites. If anything, perhaps fine dust clouds of exploded music.
This pattern is identical to the tonal structure of the F-sharp chord. The ancient Egyptians in their texts tell us that they believed F-sharp to be the harmonic frequency of our planet, the Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of the world.
The 20th century theosophist Edward Marian explains in his book on the Marcotone method that Greek music was first introduced to Pythagoras during his studies with Egyptian priests of Memphis and Phoenicia. His harmonic theory belongs to the Hermetic philosophers of Osiris, Horus, and Isis. We can trace its origin to the Orphic lyre, or scale of Orpheus, which tradition says he received from Apollo, the god of light. To this day, Greek modes are used in all genres of Western music. The 12-tone system is derived from the tetractys, or theory of harmonic ratios. Paul Foster Case, a prominent member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, integrated this 12-tone system into a table of correspondence which connected the zodiac, color wheel, and 12 single letters of the Hebrew alphabet. These are intended to enhance the study of tarot. The 12 tones are arranged clockwise, ascending chromatically, and are each tied to a primary, secondary, or tertiary color. When pitch is accounted for, this circle expands vertically into a cylindrical spiral from which platonic solids are formed through the sounding of specific chords. Scarlet is associated with the first note of the apex of the circle. That note is C, and its complementary tone is F sharp, which we now understood to be the resonant frequency inside the sarcophagus of the king's chamber at the pyramids of Giza.
Music is undoubtedly a language system, and that language can be best seen as shapes. More accurately, shapes fitting into other shapes like pieces of a puzzle, as seen in this example from Tetris. Is not man's truest expression in song? Are not all the sums of all the universes qualified by the power of their chantings? The great breath, source of all vibration, as motion in waves of sound or light, embodies all things in the cosmos. There is strong evidence that dolphins are able to see with sound, much like humans use ultrasound to see an unborn child in the womb. They have evolved an ability to translate dimensional information from their echolocation sonic beam. The Sefer Yetzirah is without question the oldest and most mysterious of the Kabbalistic texts. It seems to create the mystical cube of space, as each of the 22 keys of the tarot, and thus each of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, are associated with its design. To Plato, this simple shape represented the element of earth. To every initiated Mason, the cube is the ultimate symbol for the soul, polished and shaped by constant spiritual work. In the emblematic language of alchemy, the cube is the body, whereas the sphere is the spirit. The cube of space, like the better-known Kabbalistic diagram, the Tree of Life, can be interpreted as the map of the soul's journey towards unity with the divine. The three-dimensional nature of the cube makes it more complex of the two glyphs, and perhaps is the reason why so little has been written about it. The combination of geometry, sound, and numbers that is found within the Sefer Yetzirah was fundamental to both the Pythagorean and Hebraic traditions.
The word Lord translates to Hebrew as Baal, and Michael Tessarian has pointed out that this is where we get the idea of a bell. Commonly positioned in private towers at the top of a church, the large acoustic resonators are coordinated to spell out specific melodic patterns in relation to the time of day. The shape of a church bell represents the endpoint at which the creative essence of man emerges from his body to impregnate the feminine matrix with new information. Sound impregnates our minds with new ideas. Monotheistic music is synonymous with the term Western music in that they are both forms of solar worship. There are 12 months in a solar year and 12 notes in a subdivided octave. The 12-pointed circle may be extended from single tones to form major and minor triads. There are 24 hours in a day divided into day and night. Thus we see that music is directly related to time.
As any techno-cultural aficionado will enthusiastically tell you, the 21st century is the century of convergence. There are prophecies abound that this synthesis of communicative modes and cross-pollination of technological functionality is merely a stepping stone towards realizing some kind of fully integrated Übermensch. Eventually, our ability to communicate with and comprehend each other will accelerate to the point where humans morph into sophisticated telepaths. As we have seen, there is a similarity between visual harmony as mapped by the circle of complementary colors and auditory harmony as mapped by the circle of fifths. The scientific synthesis of this came a millennia after Hindu sages started using similar knowledge to manipulate the energetic body. Just as a chakra's vow is intonated in order to open its potentials, so too is its color often emphasized in contemplation or decoration to engineer certain states of mind. This discipline, called chromotherapy, seeks to correct imbalances in a person's energetic body by activating subtle energy centers through sympathetic resonance with the appropriate colors. Just how hammering middle C on one piano will cause the same note to vibrate on every other piano in the room. Aesthetically represented as a cosmic spiderweb, the cymatic form of the octagon as shown in synchromistic research is strongly correlated both architecturally and spiritually to the Stargate. A reoccurring geometry represented in both the pyramids of Giza and the World Trade Center complex before it was sonically imploded. The exterior of the towers of course resembled a tuning fork or trident design, and their collapse created a massive wave of energetic consciousness intonation. We as a race had our strings pulled into tune, and this was followed by an unprecedented clarity of collective vision.
You can learn to play a piece of music one way, or you can learn to play a piece of music in an infinite number of ways. And that's the true power that comes with learning the language of music instead of learning how to play one note at a time.